My home was a total loss, flood loss, in that it was one story and I received 42 inches of water. I have not been home since the storm. I have moved 10 times and I've received very little rental assistance in that time. I've been renting. I signed up for the REM program, which is a state program. I hired the state contractor, the Pathway C, and they didn't start my home until April 2015, and I'm still waiting to get in. I've been very disappointed in the program. I would like somebody to be policing the program and the contractors. I feel I have nobody to speak to answer my questions. I call the project manager, I don't get return phone calls, I don't get return emails. Why am I forgotten? Why is this program promised a 90-day build and I am at 220 days?
I had 40 inches of water in the house like everybody else. The main thing I wanted to say is that I had to hire a contractor to elevate the house. That's the next step. My house was structurally sound, but it had to be elevated. So I researched, and I found a contractor who was born and raised in my town, has had a construction business in my town for many years. He was certified or whatever. He was approved by the state list of contractors. And what's REM gives you $150,000 grant to elevate your house. So I contract with him to elevate my house. Standard practice is to put a third down. I give him $50,000 and he stalls me and he puts me off. He puts me off June, July, or August. Now we're at the point where he doesn't answer his phone, doesn't take any of my calls. There's nobody in the office. And 2 weeks ago, he was in the Asbury Park Press. There was a picture of him that somebody had signed out a warrant for his arrest for defrauding somebody else in a similar matter. I called the Consumer Affairs Division. They said I got to file a form with the State Attorney General. I did, and they told me I was the 22nd complaint against him. And he has out 60 work permits on 60 different houses. So that's where there has been no work done to my house. I've given him $50,000. Again, when I speak to REM to find out did he steal REM's money or did he steal mine, or did he even steal it? I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. They don't know the answer to that.
At 3.5 feet of water in my house. So after 4 days later, they let us back in, and realizing, of course, I wasn't going to be able to live in there because of the mud and the muck and the water. So after gutting the house with the help of a lot of friends and community organizations, I lived in Toms River in my significant other's house. Very fortunately, I had a tremendous builder who, after 10 months of being out of my home, rebuilt the inside of my home, lived there for a year, and because house raising was going to take so long, we decided that was going to be the plan. So after about a year in my home, I moved out a little over a year ago and spent 6 months living out of my home again while it got raised. And I was fortunate. I had a friend who had a house in the next town, and I lived in her home. And so I've been home since the end of April. I am in the REM program, and I have not hit the nightmares that so many other people have. I've had people who've given me unreliable information, but for the most part, I've been in pretty good shape because being in the second round, I could choose my own contractors, which, thank goodness, I did.
What recommendations would you make for the state and for people who are maybe caught in the next Hurricane Sandy?
Mainly anybody who's a victim, you have to wrap your head around you're going to be a survivor. And so you're going to have gut strength and be persistent. You have to ask a lot of questions. And as far as dealing with the state-run program initially was a nightmare. It's only been lately that it's gotten better. There's a lot of work that has to be done. We do, as our organization has a lot of, we have a lot of ways that things could be done better. And it's really the community organizations that were the best suited to a lot of our needs. But you have to be persistent, and the state has to be aware of when you have contractors that you want to put out there for people to use, you better do a better job of screening them, because people have walked away from their homes at this point because they've run out of money because there's been unscrupulous contractors, and foreclosure is, of course, another nightmare.